The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Whether she's walking the red carpet or doing interviews, you'll find her with celebrities and all the latest news. She's here, she's there, she's everywhere, she's always on the go. So sit back, relax, and get ready. This is the Corey Taylor Talks Show.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Corey Taylor Talks, live from Las Vegas, the #1 teen talk show. Today's show is going to be super important and have a lot of awesome things going on, and I'm really proud and excited to have this amazing man on who started this fabulous organization that is just phenomenal and is helping so many people. So I have Mr. Bud Collier from I'mBullyFree.org. So hi, Bud, how are you?
Hi, Corey. Hi from Houston, and thanks for letting us be on your show. We're very honored.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for being on. I have been doing so much research about your amazing website and everything you're doing and all the things you have coming up, and it's really phenomenal. And thank you so much for doing something like this and really helping people.
You're very welcome.
So I have a question. Now, why don't you tell little people about a little bit how this got started? Because you are a veteran and you started this great program. So why don't you tell people a little bit about it and how it actually came about?
It was about 2011. I worked at NASA. So after I retired from the military, I worked at the big swimming pool where they made Armageddon neutral buoyancy lab. So a bunch of us were together, and we started looking at the problems in the schools. So we had a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and all of our military backgrounds, we were command and control. And, so hospitals and things of this nature. So we were looking at the degrade and all of the issues with violence and killings in the schools. So we started originally going in and auditing the schools to show them their problems and their failures of where people could get in and kill the kids. So we did a couple of audits, and all the schools really wanted was cameras. They didn't really want to find out how to solve Sandy Hook and things of this nature. Right. So we went back to the drawing board, and it was about that time one of this was a for-profit company, and one of the kids across the street was getting bullied, and then another one of these kids. So all of a sudden, we've got a major issue here. And we all had kids and things of this nature. So we started a nonprofit and working as for anti-bullying, because we had the chief of psychiatry on our board for NASA and one of the chief psychologists. So we had the right people. And so, it takes about a year to get a nonprofit completely in place. And that was in 2011. And December the 26th, 2011, my daughter was murdered at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. She was stabbed over 100 times. So as we started looking into her background even more, and I already knew she had problems. She was biracial. She was Hispanic and white. And the little Hispanic girls didn't want to play with her because she looked white. It goes on and on. Well, she lost her mojo is what we... Yes, go ahead. Did you have a question?
Oh, no. Keep going.
Okay, yeah, I can talk forever. Oh. How am I doing?
Oh, no, you're doing great. I was gonna say I am very, very sorry to hear about your daughter, and that I learned about that, and that's actually my birthday too. So that really, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's horrifying, and the day after Christmas.
Well, it took me a long time to accept, so her mother was a veteran like me, and what was so sad was Candace's was my daughter. Her stepfather was killed in Afghanistan the year before. So her mother lost her and her husband all in the same time period, within a very short time period, less than a year. So she has nobody now. Well, as we look at problems with our kids, and I have a lot of issues because of because of what happened to my daughter. They basically didn't find the killer. I'm not sure if they looked that hard, but so she died, and been a happy young lady most of her life, and my wife and I had got Betty Jo had been divorced in 1986. So Candace was my daughter, but she was when I was in England, she would be in California. When I'm in California, she'd be in Germany. So we didn't see a lot of each other over the years. So we were starting to get closer, and then this happens. So this is a lot of times I'll be watching, I'll make these videos for the kids and show the kids, here's the kids that are committing suicide. Not anything graphic, just the pictures of them, showing them how normal they look. Right. And in the other, it was about a couple of months ago, I was watching this video with the kids. And it was in the inner city on the 3rd Ward. These kids are pretty rough, and I started looking at the intent of these kids, and I just lost it because I started thinking of Candace. And so she kind of keeps us alive and in her memory. And I don't flaunt it a lot, but her life was bullied because she was heavy, she had a cleft lip, and she was biracial. So that's kind of numerous reasons that we started this organization, and we're going to continue as long as I'm alive. Because
that's awesome. And I really have to say, I think it's incredible that you took such a negative situation and you also use all your resources that you have, which a lot of people unfortunately would never do. And for you to go out of your way and start this organization that's truly helping save lives and guiding people and showing them the right way and showing them that bullying isn't the end, I think that's fantastic, and truly kudos to you, because I couldn't even imagine what you've gone through and stuff, and then to turn such a negative thing into a positive, really amazing. And you are saving a bunch of lives, and I'm sure you do know it, and I hope you do know that for sure.
Well, thank you, Corey. Thank you.
And so you have a lot of the people from NASA. Are they still involved with everything, and is that how it keeps going?
Well, yeah, and see, but what we started, we were going to go in and do evaluations on all the kids that and there's no money for that, right?
Right.
And usually, what happens is when you go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist, all of the real bad damage has already been done to your kids.
That's true.
The parents find out about it, then they've been bullied, and then they go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So, we'll hear of these incidents just by the teacher just saying, "Don't do that," and that could stop it right there. Does that make sense? But the teachers are involved as much as they can. But some just there's just so many students. There's always an excuse for why they didn't do the right thing, and there's always an excuse why they did the right thing. And that's the problem when we start looking into the bully situation is I wish we could fill out a form and it would be over. But see, to think about it, after you fill out the form for a speeding ticket, it's not over. That guy's going to continue to speed, right? Until something happens or they pull his license. And the same way with these kids. By filling out a form, that bully's not going to go away, potentially. Sometimes they do, but most of the time, that kid has targeted your family or your child for some reason.
Yeah. And, that's one thing I do want to bring up. I think so many kids and stuff that are getting bullied, they're absolutely beautiful kids. Some of them are very well off and are doing amazing, but people are just bullying them, and because I truly believe they're jealous, or the reason someone's bullying is probably because their life is so miserable, or they have something going on that makes them that way. Because if you're truly happy with yourself, there's no reason to bully anyone. And so these kids don't realize that, and it's a very difficult thing. And even adults, it's hard to understand when someone's just constantly picking on you, and it does. It really hurts you. And like you said, the psychologist, which is such an important thing, but usually it does happen when it's too late or when it's gone too far, and the kids don't know how to deal with it. So I think it's really cool that you are bringing that to people's attention, because I honestly didn't even think about psychologists and stuff, and it's such an important thing, and they really do help a lot of people, and I'm sure they could help show kids the right way to handle situations and better understand it, because it's a very complicated situation.
Very, very true. You know what PTSD is? You ever heard of that?
Yes.
So, we'll see soldiers. I'm a veteran, and we do a lot for the PTSD of these kids. We have a lot of those young men and women that commit suicide every day, and it's amazing how some of these veterans can go through getting shot at for 5 years and they're okay, and in some, here's a huge explosion and they're affected the rest of their life. So as I talk to kids, some kids can fight and get beat up every day, and they somehow they have the ability to handle it. And some kids, you can lay the hands on them once, and they start having these trauma incidents or PTSD or whatever we want to call it. So it just depends on the person and how they're wired and things of this nature. I'm an aerospace physiologist, so I know how to take people to space and the physiology stuff. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't really get into that, but I know what's right from wrong. I know what is good. So some of the things that we do at schools when we're talking to the kids, we'll have sometimes we'll have 50 kids and we might have 2,000 kids. And out of that kids, we have to entertain them and talk to them. But at the end of the day, when the program's over, there'll be one or two that come up and need our help, and then we start working with them via their parents, or we'll get calls.
Right. Now, I do want to talk about a little bit about this. So, what do you think are some solutions, and how do you help these kids? Because it's a very complicated situation, and unfortunately, schools, even though they really need to get involved more, a lot of them won't, or they don't really know how to handle this situation, especially if it's just talking to them and they're not physically hurting these persons, which sometimes the mental bullying is even worse than the physical. What do you do to help these kids, and actually what's the process for that?
Well, say, Corey, you called me up, for instance, you said your niece was getting bullied, and she's like 12 years old, right? If they're 5 and 6, that's kind of, is that really bullying? That's just kids. But for years, the schools it's don't be a tattletale, suck it up, this is part of life, it'll go away. Well, we're seeing that doesn't work this way. It should have never been that way. You know what zero tolerance is? You ever heard of that policy?
Yes, and I think it needs to be put out more, and it needs to be mandatory for all schools, I think. Yeah.
So have you ever heard of the term zero tolerance?
Yeah.
And zero tolerance in Texas means that if I attack you at school and you fight back, we both get. Is that me or you?
I don't know, honestly, but I can hear you better now, so hopefully that will work.
I'm getting some feedback.
Oh,
is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
How's that?
This is good. That's perfect.
So zero tolerance means that if I attack you and you defend yourself, we both get the same trouble. And that's what they went through. And then they would put the bullies in the class with the same kids, and you need to separate those bullies, because by giving that little bully a slap on the hand, that didn't stop them. Who knows who else they're targeting? And so we haven't figured out why they would target you and not me. I've never been able to figure it. So we've heard all of these different things. So remember, these anti-bully organizations are relatively new that you see all over the United States.
Yeah.
And so we're one of the originals. Now, there's been some that claim they've been around since the 90s, and they're basically psychology driven. Well, getting to see a psychologist every day, is that going to stop those other bullies? That's part of the process. So if you called me up and said what we do, the first thing I start asking you questions about what happened, and then I tell you to start documenting it. That makes sense.
No, absolutely, and I think that is important. So then you do have proof, and you can go back. And I think witnesses are a great thing. And I also I don't know if you want to get into this a little bit. I think also a thing that should be brought up is bystander and upstander. and
Yes.
how kids, everyone sees someone getting bullied, and if you don't do anything about it, or you don't tell someone or reach out to the kid or anything, you're almost just as bad as the bully, unfortunately, because you're accepting it and letting it happen. And that's the difference between a bystander and an upstander. And an upstander doesn't even have to physically get involved or anything. They can at least tell a teacher or talk to the kid that's getting bullied and actually help them. But that's a big important thing, and a lot of people don't do that. So it's really important to show that kids can get involved and help them without putting themselves in any type of danger at all.
Right. And at those 2 points, how to be an upstander. What's the first thing your mother taught you?
Treat others
Stranger
the way you
danger. Don't take candy, right?
Yeah.
And they still do that to this
Right.
day. But see, the parents never teach the kids how to be an upstander.
Yeah.
And you just don't do that because it depends on the situation. And so I'll do these tests in school. I go, be an upstander. The kids don't know how to do it. Because if the kid is 3 grades bigger and you try to be an upstander, then you're just another casualty. So the best thing to do is go tell a teacher, and but telling a bully that's three years older than you to stop, and you're 6 and they're 10, is that really going to stop that bully?
No.
Right, but that's the reality. So these are things that I see out there that are kind of myths. And some kids have the ability to a 6-year-old be able to talk to a 10-year-old, but most of it don't go that way. So what we tell the kids is, if you're getting bullied and you see somebody, go get a trusted teacher, not just get any grown-up. And then you go home and you tell your parents and try to tell their parents. Because you remember over the years, we've shamed the kids. You're a tattletale.
Right.
You should, this will go away. And we're seeing that little gate start to drop more and more, where kids are realizing this is not right behavior. Mm-hmm. But so how do you be an upstander? And there's no training for it.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, and unfortunately, a lot of kids, they're just, it's when they're getting bullied. Unfortunately, recently we have seen a really huge spike in suicides and everything. And even recently, there was this beautiful little 12-year-old girl that committed suicide, and she was a cheerleader and everything, and a beautiful little girl, and killed herself. And it's so horrifying to see that these kids think that's the only way out, and it's not. There's so much help out there, such as your organization that is helping people, but unfortunately, I don't think a lot of kids understand that. So I think it's important that you are getting this word out there, and you are spreading and showing that people are here to help you. And you also have a really cool event coming up, and you have some celebrity endorsements as well, I believe, too. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's awesome, and kids can see celebrities and baseball stars and everything. So why don't you tell a little bit about that?
Over the years, I've worked hand in hand with a lot of veteran organizations, and it's called Red River Celebrity Softball Tournament. And this is mainly for combat veterans, and it's up in Fort Worth. And we've had 3 or 4 big events. And Evan Vozetis is a young actor that works with me. And the new series called Ozark with Jason Bateman, this is his first big acting role, and he's a 32-year-old Down syndrome young man. So he hangs out with me and Bully Bear. We see kids all over Houston and all over Texas. So at this softball game, Bully Bear is our little character. You can go see him on unbullyfree.org.
He's so cute, by the way.
And so we're going to have Toby Keith, which is Red Solo Cup guy. Roger Clemens, which is he's a future Hall of Fame baseball player. Earl Campbell, one of the best running backs. And let's see, Ricky Williams, Vince Young, all these guys from University of Texas that were superstars that later became pros are playing University of Oklahoma. And then on the other side, on the flip side, there's a bunch of combat veterans that are going to be playing, like Ryan Weaver. Did you ever see the movie 13 Hours?
Yes.
The Benghazi. Well, the guy that wrote the song, Ryan Weaver, he wrote the 13-hour song for that. And they're talking about Troy Aikman, Matthew McConaughey. Who knows who's going to show up at this event? But it's all about the kids. And see, another thing that I work with, especially for veteran families, remember their fathers sometimes been gone 6 years out of their life,
right,
fighting that damn war. And who protects them while they're gone when they're getting bullied? And you remember they're moving all the time, so they're the new kid on the block. So they're constantly getting toward it. So that's one of the programs that I work with. If your parents are gone, or both of them, we'll definitely work with you. But so that's kind of, so I can bring Earl Campbell and all these great football players in and sing and dance with the kids. But what happens after we leave? Does that make sense? Did that really stop the bullying?
Well, it might not.
Yes, go ahead.
It might not necessarily stop the bully, but I think at least you're starting to show the kids the right way and stuff, and what they choose to do with that afterwards. Unfortunately, you don't have complete control over, but you are showing them and helping them, and I think that's a big thing. And these little events can change a kid's whole life. It really could, and save a kid's life.
Well, over the years, you'll see these kids that show up on the internet and they're getting bullied and they've been burnt. Like Caden down in New Braunfels, Texas, the kid set him on fire last summer. Mm-hmm. And what I'll do is I'll be at a football game and I'll get all of these cool people and football players to say, "Hey, Caden, we love you," on a video, and send that to him. And all of a sudden he'll get a bunch of cool presents. But our last little girl that we helped, this was right before school started, little young girl named Miss Hernandez, right? I won't tell you her first name, but she lives real close to Houston. And I saw her on a TV show, and it was about being bullied, and it was a late night thing. So I get a hold of her and I said, "You know what? How can I help you?" So I had a boxer. So we go down to her house and we take her a Bully Bear shirt and some bracelets and a poster, and all of these posters that had "I'm Bully Free" on it. All these professional wrestlers had signed it.
Oh, wow.
The day before in the audience. So now all of us, she says, "Oh my God, this is pretty cool." So we see this smile on her face, and her mother goes, "She hasn't smiled the whole school year, and plus she's flunked out of school."
Oh my God.
Now, on all these things that's happening. So Evan Vazetis is the little actor on Ozark with Jason Bateman, and another little girl that works with me, she was on The Voice, Brenda Ibarra. And I tell her, I said, "Well, Miss Hernandez, how would you like to do this? How would you like to sing the national anthem with these two guys?"
Oh, wow.
At our next big event. So it wasn't it was at some CrossFit gym, and it wasn't thousands of people, but it's the fact that she got to meet Evan, the actor, on a major TV show. She got to meet Brenda Ibarra and hang out with them in Bully Bear. And all of a sudden, all these big 260-pound wrestlers show up, and you can't tell me she wasn't happy.
No,
and she got to sing. So now, did we took the worry about suicide off for a while, possibly? Does that make... So that's one of the programs we do. And that showed, but she thought nobody loved her other than her parents. And now all of a sudden thousands of people are sending her. The good thing about Facebook is you can get thousands of people to show support, or you can get thousands of people to be a total monster.
Right. Well, and also I want to bring up Evan too. We were trying to get him on the show. Unfortunately, with technical difficulties, we couldn't. But we're hopefully going to have him on soon too. But I think that's amazing that Evan is helping you with this, and he's a great actor, and he's on a huge show, and that's a big thing that kids can look up to and show that he's actually taking his time and helping kids, and that's really awesome.
Yeah, can I talk a little bit about Evan?
Oh, yes. Go right ahead.
So about 2013 or 14, we had one of those talk show radios about bullying, me and Alicia Wilson out of Fort Worth. So where we had these guests, and it was mainly about bullying, and the reason that we got rid of it, she had too many kids, and, I don't want to try to run a radio show. I know how hard that is, and ours was just, So he calls up. Don't even know who this kid was. Don't even really know what he looks like, other than he starts talking about his dream about being an actor was squelched because he put a YouTube video out. When you put a YouTube video out, or like I said, this is a YouTube download, right?
Yes, yeah, we're on YouTube and stuff, yeah.
And I'm asking for good and bad input. So on some of the comments go, oh my God, bud, you're an idiot. Blah, blah, blah. I'm 62 years old. I can handle people calling me those names. Well, Evan's dream was to be an actor, and he put this video out. And he has a form of Down syndrome, and he puts it out. And I won't say the actor's name, but it was a pretty famous guy, called him a bunch of ugly names and things of this nature. That broke his little heart. So I said, well, Evan, I know you want to be an actor, so come work with me. So then we started going to the autism walks and the Down syndrome walks. And so what he does is he talks to the kids about never giving up, never let anybody squash your hopes. So I've seen this guy go from reading the cue cards, which was not very effective, to now he's so extemporaneous. He's an incredible speaker. And I teach college at Embry-Riddle, the Aeronautical University, and I teach pilots, teach graduate course. He writes better than our pilots.
Wow.
And our graduate students. But he has no cognitive theory. He can't tell right from left as well as we can. So he now look at him. You fast forward three years later, he's on a major TV show, and he's on the second series. Wow. And his thing, and he can sing. He's singing the national. He's going to the the Astros, the Major League Baseball. He's singing the national anthem next week.
Oh, awesome.
And normally, autism kids, they can't sing, but occasionally, and he's not a great singer, but his passion's there. And I'm going to continue to work with this kid. And, everywhere we go, I take him as much as we can to see the kids, and, an incredible little guy that just loves the kids, and he loves the passion of I'm Bully Free. So we've been together. I don't know how many kids we've seen, but we'll go to the kids directory. We'll see 30 to 50,000 kids at that per day running around. And he signs I've got him little autograph cards, and so he's a great kid.
Well,
and we love you, Evan, if you're listening to this.
No, that's awesome. And really, Evan, that's so cool, everything that you're doing. But that's so horrifying to hear that he was bullied by a fellow actor who apparently is a successful actor. And that's just, it's so crazy to me. But social media has made it so easy for people to feel powerful or anonymous or better, and they don't fully see the consequences. So they are even worse on social media, and because social media is such a huge thing and it can't be avoided, it's such a huge outlet for bullying. And like you said, there's great parts about it, and being able to send that, like that little girl, being able to send her all the love and support and everything, that's amazing. But you also had the really negative aspects about it, and that's ruining these kids' self-esteem. And thank gosh Evan had people like you and stuff to reach out to, but if he didn't, that would be such a horrible thing, and he would have never been where he is now. And social media, it has such great things, but it has such bad consequences as well.
We have a video up on our Facebook page, which is I'mBullyFree.org 501c3, and it talks about the 10 real ugly apps that are out there on Facebook and places like that. And there's applications where you can go in anonymous and you put your name up there, and people tell you what you can do, and there's the well game. Have you seen the new one where the challenge where they want you to put boiling water on somebody?
Oh no, I haven't.
That's the brand new one. And then there's just so many different facets of these applications. And what I tell parents is that if your kid has a phone, then they got the potential of getting the internet. And if they're on the internet, you need to monitor it.
Yeah.
You need to monitor their texting and things of this nature, because you don't know. But have you seen those? What was the 13 Reasons? Have you seen that show?
I think that's
on
an
Netflix?
amazing show. Yeah, I mean, it's had a lot of controversy, but I think it's a very important show, and it shows how big the social media affects everything. Yes.
Yeah, but you look at. You ever heard of Lizzie? She's a little girl from Austin. She's 20. She was 21 years old, and she had this disease that made her look like she was 100 years old.
Oh.
She looked very old and really, and not attractive. So she goes up, and this was a few years back, up on YouTube looking for some music, and she sees this video that says "The Ugliest Woman in the World," and she pops it up there, and it's got 4 million views, and it's her.
Oh my
Somebody's
gosh.
identified her as the ugliest woman in the world. About mortified, killed him in her heart,
Yes.
and she hasn't done anything to anybody. She's just got this disease that makes her look like she's 100 years old. It's very rare. Well, she took that and took it to the positive, and now she's a public speaker. But see that, but the 99 percentile will take that and not do well with it,
Right. And who
I
can
haven't
blame them?
figured out.
It's
I've had clients, as we call the mother and father, says the first thing you should do is take the internet away from your child. And they go, we can't do that. How are they going to communicate? They don't need. So if I was going to take certain things away, it would be the Facebook until the kid's older.
yeah.
And these chat rooms, who knows what goes on that? Yeah, and what is it, Snapchat and all these other places where if you don't get 1,000 likes, then you're a loser. It's like having your back when the most important thing was your yearbook.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't get your yearbook signed by everybody, then you weren't as popular as the other ones,
Right.
other kids.
But now and even then, with the yearbook thing, you could hide it and stuff. But with social media, it's so out there, and it's accessible to everyone, and it really does. It has a lot of bad consequences to it. And I agree. I think parents should be monitoring it, if I could talk.
Yeah.
Because
one of the new laws that we have in Texas is called David's Law. David was a beautiful young man, 16 or 17, and it was December of 2015. We had a senator at his house, and they were getting ready to start working on David's Law. January 2016, he commits suicide.
Mm.
And what they were doing, they were taking his picture and putting it all over the internet, calling him Monkey Boy and stuff like that.
Gosh.
He comes from as you look at pictures of him, he goes to Cozumel every year. He goes sailing. They have boats. They had, just like the little cheerleader, they had everything.
Yeah.
If you look for wealth and things of this nature, everything that the kid would want to play with. But they targeted him, and all he was a young, skinny little white guy. But he looked pretty normal. But they took any of his features and started drawing pictures of him and things of this nature. So he commits suicide, and that's what David's Law.
Mm.
So David's Law is if I contact you and cyberbully you and you commit suicide, then me as the bully and everybody involved in it are going to get some penalties from the law. Not
That's
sure
awesome.
exactly what they are, but you're going to get a misdemeanor or something of that nature. So right now there's really not much for cyberbullying you can do.
Right. And it is, but I think there should be consequences. And, I want to bring up the fact, too, sometimes a lot of kids will just be like, and it's horrifying, but they're like, oh, well, if they commit suicide, that's me. But you also have people that resort to school shootings and stuff, and there is such a spike in school shootings, and you know what, that could actually affect you. So not only are you running the risk of someone ending their own life, you could possibly have your life ended because of it. And kids really need to think about this, and it's a horrible thing, and I hope to God there's never a school shooting again or anything like that. But kids have to realize there's consequences to themselves, and there does need to be punishments for kids bullying, and if someone takes their own life or anything, there needs to be punishments out there. And unfortunately, there's not as many as there should be, but there has to be.
You know, when you look, I remember I'm a professor, so I train pilots. So we look at processes and statistical analysis when we do anything. And so another thing that parents really don't know is, you know, that there's 4,600 kids between the age of 10 and 24 a year that commit suicide in the United States. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. That's insane.
That's an average of 12 teens per day.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I don't know where they got this statistic, but it says the average number of teens attempting per year is over 575,000.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know where they got that statistical. That's a lot of kids that are attempting suicide.
Yeah. And suicide is just not an answer, and it always will pass. But these kids, they're just so lost, and some of them feel like there's no one to reach out to, even though, of course, there is. Even if their families aren't supportive of them or their teachers aren't, there's outside resources for them. Or if they have super close friends that they can trust, there is always a way out, and eventually it will pass. But these kids are so lost, and they feel so alone, even though they're not. And I always say, too, I truly believe, I don't care how perfect you are or anything, I believe every single person has been bullied in some way or another in their lifetime, and I truly do believe that. So there are people that can relate, but these poor kids, they feel like there's no way out, and they think suicide's the only answer, but it's not. And it's just a terrifying thing that is going on more and more, and it's sickening, you know.
Well, you know, as you brought that point up, you know, I graduated from high school back in the 70s. And it was really rare to hear of a teen committing suicide.
Yeah.
Back then. And in the 80s, it was rare. And all of a sudden, the 90s and 2000 rolls around, all of a sudden, there's more and more of these kids. And you hear more about it because of social media. They get to watch it happen sometimes. And but a 7-year-old kid committing suicide because they don't have any reason to live, you know, as we... Here's one of the saddest ones. This happened last year. This kid was Danny Fitzpatrick, was being taunted by bullies from school up in he's 13 years old, and he leaves a letter to his father before he commits suicide. Then it can't go on any longer, Dad. And he went upstairs and hung himself because he didn't want to go back to the school because he said they were not doing anything. Right? So you see all these things where they're finger pointing at the school. You know, the schools didn't do that. And where were the parents? Where was his friends and things of this nature? You know, you guys still there?
Oh yeah, you know we're here.
Yeah, and you know, so you know, we get these cases and everybody's finger pointing, but Danny Fitzpatrick committed suicide and nobody was held accountable for a suicide. And he's 13. Not his parents, not the school, not the city, and it goes on and on and on. So who do you blame? Unfortunately, nobody gets the blame for it other than now you've left the family. And what happens after a child commits suicide? It wrecks that family a lot of times. I've had friends that I've known after their kids commit suicide, then they get divorced. This, you know, things of this nature. It just goes on and on. So after that child commits suicide, then that leaves 90 other people that are affected. Yeah. So suicide does affect a large amount of people. It's just not that one little family.
No, and that's another thing too. Kids don't realize it will affect everything. It's not just themselves. They're not just ending their own lives. They're ruining their families' lives as well, and their friends and everything. And they need to understand that too. Yeah.
Well, you remember, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but see, a kid, as I'm hearing these from these professionals, they don't understand 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's it. When you kill yourself, it's over. Yeah. There's no mas. They don't understand that.
That's it.
The only thing they understand is, I'm going to end this, and they'll feel sorry. Somebody will regret this, et cetera, et cetera. But there's no do-overs. And how can a 7-year-old kid? When I was 7 years old, I don't even hardly remember anything being that bad. I remember I had bad days, but not to where I'd want to commit suicide. And but they're saying 20% of the kids out of the 25 million that are out there that have thought about killing themselves.
Wow.
I don't know what that means, but so how do we fix that? It's the crisis everywhere.
Yeah. No, and it's terrible to even think about. And they're young kids. There's adults that are killing themselves over bullying and stuff, and it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be that way at all. And that's why people like you and your website and everything you're doing is so important, and it is saving lives, and I think that's amazing. So once again, why don't you go over absolutely everything, and then also at the end of the show I want to play a song too. I think will be on our YouTube channel, but why don't you go over everything and talk about this song too, because the song is very important as well.
Oh, yeah. M. Deuce is a young man out of Seattle, and he's a rapper, and he's done some songs with Busy Bone and some pretty good recordist artists out there. And his father was black, mother was white. His father left him, and when he was born, the father left him real early. All of his organs running outside of his stomach.
Oh my gosh.
And in this video that I show the kids, and he had scoliosis. His spine was crooked.
Oh
So
gosh.
imagine, and he liked to play basketball, and he'd play shirts and skins. And everybody knew that he had that scar. He has no belly button. And they would call him alien and all kinds of stuff.
Gosh.
My dog's, hold on a second. My puppy's barking downstairs. Can you hear him?
Yeah.
I'm upstairs in my study. I'm up in the Bully Bear Cave. So he writes this song in 2012, and it's called Let Me Live. And I call him up, and I'm talking to him. He has no idea from Adam who I am. I said, dude, this is a great song. How can we get you down? So I flew him down 2 or 3 times to perform it. And the cool thing about it is he comes from the barrio. He doesn't come from that real rich silver spoon, et cetera, et cetera. He understands the kids. He can talk to them. And so his name is M. Deuce. In fact, I'm the white bud and he's the black bud. That's our, and so we got together. We talk all the time. He just did another song, and I forget I'm having a brain block on the name of it, but it was for anti-cancer, and they raised over $1 million for the cancer kids up in Seattle.
That's
so
amazing.
M. Deuce is my boy. I love him to death. Talk to him and his crew all the time, and we're always trying to find out how do we get him more involved.
No, absolutely.
Was that a good?
Yeah, that's a really powerful story too. So I think that's awesome. And then why don't you go over your website and everything, and your Facebook page, and where people can follow you and reach out to you.
Yeah, everything on my website is I'mBullyFree.org, and that phone number is 713-478-3049. 713-478-3049. That's right to my personal cell phone. I pick that up at night, in the morning, whenever, but I call you back, and if I don't have time, I have 5 or 6 other guys or ladies, and like Sherry White that you've had on your show.
Yes,
she helps me out with the kids, working with them. So so everything is up on our web pages, our Facebook pages, and we just don't drop you off for one day. After we talk to you, you're part of the family. So
awesome.
Our site is I'mBullyFree.org. And my phone number is 713-478-3049. And if you don't want to talk to me, you can email me at william-collier@sbcglobal.net. That's william-collier@sbcglobal.net. I have no privacy anymore. It's about the kids. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. And once again, I think you are a phenomenal man, and everyone on your team is just amazing. And to use all your resources and everything you've personally been through and to understand what these kids are going through. Thank you so much for doing all this, because you're really amazing and helping save a lot of lives. And truly, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm truly honored to have you on.
Cool. Well, real quick, I want to say hi to our chapters in Pennsylvania, our chapter up in South Dakota, San Antonio. So we have chapters all over the place.
Awesome.
And Haley Ants, I didn't forget you, sweetheart. She just did a big thing for us. So but any anti-bully group will help you, and we support all of them.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much once again for being on, Bud. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, please go check out everything I'mBullyFree.org. Incredible. If you're going through bullying, you can always reach out to us, and I think that's another amazing website where it's a whole network of people to help you and guide you the right way. And really, like he said, you're part of their family, and that's amazing and a really special thing. So please take advantage of it if you're going through bullying, and or know someone who's going through bullying, or just need advice or articles. They have a whole bunch of stuff on their website, which is really helpful to anyone. Or if you're a parent, anything, it has a lot of great research stuff for you. So thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, never give up, always believe, and you will achieve. Thank you, and God bless.
Yeah, what's happening? It's your boy M. Deuce, here with Simma Deezy and my nephew.
Gotta stop the madness.
We put this one together for all those that been bullied, been hurt in their life, brought down by somebody else. This message is for the bullies and all those people that hurt.
Things you say to me, what you do to me, positivity only gets through to me. You can't ruin me, cause I'm doing me. So let me be and let me live my life. Can you please just let me live? All I wanna do is just be a kid. All I wanna do is just live my life. Know everything's alright when I sleep at night.
Growing up is the hardest part of life. When you care what people thinking, words cut you like a knife. Taking pieces of your soul, take the shine from your glow. When the negative approach, it breaks you down a little more. It's time we scream no, these bullies gotta go. Little girls of my own, so that's all that daddy knows. No kid should have to be teased when they go to school, because they look different or might have some different shoes. We need to realize the heart and soul is all that matters, not whose pocket's fatter or who climbs a corporate ladder. It's really how you add any value to the planet. Are you here to do some good, or are you here to do some damage? Insecurities and jealousy breed envy. A bully has been hurt and they're really just pretending. I know deep down we all just want love. We all feel pain and we all need hugs, even thugs.
You say to me, what you do to me, positivity only gets through to me. You can't ruin me, cause I'm doing me. So let me be and let me live my life. Can you please just let me live? All I wanna do is just be a kid. All I wanna do is just live my life. Know everything's alright when I sleep at night.
This one's for the kids that feel like they don't belong. I feel I'm one of you, that's why I really wrote this song. As a kid I thought God was mad and I got punished. Complicated birth defects, I don't have a belly button. But it doesn't matter what it is, we're all the same. If you're overweight, have no legs or even gay, like the drops of rain, if you really use your brain. We were made in God's image, that could be so many things. Most of us walk this path third eye blinded, pineal gland closed, not ready for enlightenment. The bad try to blind us, I'm here to remind us. Keep your mind open and to focus on the kindness. Thinking while I write this, how many walk lifeless, believing dollar bills are worth more than human life is. That's so mindless, cause human life is priceless. Be good to each other, that's when happiness will find us.
Things you say to me, what you do to me, positivity only gets through to me. You can't ruin me, cause I'm doing me. So let me be and let me live my life. Can you please just let me live? All I wanna do is just be a kid. All I wanna do is just live my life. Know everything's alright when I sleep at night.
let's stop the names and the fist fights, let's get right. It's not about ice, forget what your wrist like. Instead of cracking books and learning something for the future,
we have to go to school and wonder if someone will shoot ya.
It ain't right the way these kids are growing up, picking gangs over school with the sense of throwing up. But all they ever see though on how life goes is get a click, pack some clips and get some big dough. The next thing you know, they're starring in a big show. No name, just a number, cell block 4. This story's getting old and the world is still cold. It's only getting colder, watching rain turn to snow. Hoping we can grow, stop worshiping the dough. The soul's the only thing to go when your casket's closed, and kids will repeat what they hear and what they're shown. So lead by example, and I'm talking to the grown.
Come on, world, it's time we wake up. We need to teach these children love and peace instead of war and hate, and that these material possessions don't mean a thing. It's about heart and soul. We have to realize kids are not born evil, they're just taught bad behavior. So let's show them how to respect each other and the surroundings. It starts at home, so lead by example. M. Deuce reppin' G.O.D. God over dollars.
Say to me, what you do to me, positivity only gets through to me. You can't ruin me, cause I'm doing me. So let me be and let me live my life. Can you please just let